So we'll have the bow on the tillering stick and we'll have it braced at this point. It's braced and the tillering is finished. A couple of discrepancies that I must mention here. When tillering it on the belt sander earlier, essentially I've taken too much wood off these areas here, and it has adjusted the tiller, or it's sort of practically hinged here, so we've been very careful trying to compensate for that and make it the same on the other limb. What we've ended up with is a bow which is about 43 pounds, 42 pounds, something like that. And the tiller is not perfect. I wouldn't claim this to be a perfect bow, but it's a good bow. What I'm going to do, I'll pull it down to the 28 mark. This is going to be 42 pound to 28 inch draw. So I'll pull it down to the 28 inch mark and you can see how the tiller looks. But there are discrepancies in there, so we're not promoting this as perfect tiller by any stretch. Just exercise that a little. Okay, and that's down to 28 inches there. It's fairly even on the tips, it's just there's a little bit not quite sitting right with itself on the limbs. And as I say, at this point, I don't really want to take any more wood off the limbs, so I'm going to leave it as is. And it will be a perfectly serviceable bow. So our next task with this bow is to cut the handle section out. Now, if we knock it round this way, we'll be able to see, I've already marked that out. If you can see, this is the centre of the grip here, and that's going to come off this way. Sorry, that's going to come off this way, down to the purple heart. I've decided I'm going to take off this ash section here, simply because the handle looks a little bit too chunky for me, so I'm going to take that off a touch. And we'll also have marked here on the back of the bow the arrow rest. Well, first thing to do here is to cut this line straight through so that we can then bandsaw out the curve for the arrow rest, and the same this way down so we can cut in the curve of the handle section. So I'm going to do that now. So here we're going to cut this down just with a handsaw down to the correct point. That's good. And we're going to cut this one here for the arrow shelf. What I'm also going to mark here, just before we do any cutting on the bandsaw, I'm going to come in just a touch here on this side, take a line down. Again, this is just roughly. And I'm going to do the same line on that side. Now what I'm going to put that through the bandsaw like so, and cut a chamfer off either side. And now what we're going to do is just use this rasp again to rasp the whole of the handle section into shape. This can take a while, so what I'll do is I'll get started with it here just to show you the sort of thing I'm doing. This is a fairly coarse rasp. It's an excellent tool, and I'm just going to start taking the corners off essentially with it first. Same procedure. You can see there's a lot of marks in there off the rasp. So I'll just flatten some of those out first with this rasp, with this file. Let's take a quick look at it. That's sort of carved in quite nicely there. A few tool marks yet to go. and we just want to do a little bit of rounding off on the front here. I've just turned it over here and done a little work on the back of the boat to get that all nicely rounded in to the handle section itself. Put that sandpaper in there. What I might do is just give this a rub down with some oil so that I find that it helps with the tool marks. If there's any little marks there which are not visible on the boat, they will normally show once we put just a thin coat of oil on it, not as a finish, but just to show any discrepancies in it. If we just rub some of this oil into it, you can see not only does it bring out the beautiful colour of the Purple Heart and the ash, it will also show us any little marks that need to be taken care of. Okay, this is a piece of dry cloth and we're just going to take that back off or rub it in like so. I'm going to string that up now and we'll take another look at it, and tomorrow we shall take it up to the allotment and fire it. We'll get a better view of it up at the allotment tomorrow. But so far, so good. As I say, there's a couple of discrepancies with the tillering, but overall, it's starting to look like quite a nice boat.